welcome back to the studio. I'm here with Lynn Kidd, Principal and Founder of the Actors Workshop. Welcome, Lynn. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
You've been in the entertainment industry for over 3 decades.
Yes.
What was it that initially sparked your interest?
Basically, I was travelling in England and I went and saw my first stage play, and it was with Jimmy Stewart in a play called Harvey, and it was all about this imaginary rabbit, and I just thought, I want to do that. I'd always been creative anyway, but I just thought, I want to learn how to do that. So when I eventually got back to Australia, I then started studying to be a AMEB speech and drama teacher, and then from that it was just like rolled on. I got my teachers, and then I went and studied Adler, and then PBL gave me a scholarship to study film and television, and then the Peter Summerton Foundation gave me scholarships to work with the Afghani Lanskoy and Rowena Bayliss. Rowena Bayliss and I still have a working relationship today. We're actually written and been published a book together after many, many years of working together as teachers. You
have The Jungle of Sounds, the magic of language and tone. What was the main message behind this publication?
Well, growing up as a child, I actually had an articulation problem, and I knew I had to overcome that. And when I started going and working on that particular situation, I already was married and had a child, and I'd take my son along and I'd make him go to classes after me, and he hated it. And he used to say, I hate it, and he'd fight every week. And I said, okay, I'll write something that you would like to learn. Mind you, he was 28 by the time I did it, but at least I did it.
And you spent quite a bit of time working with children, especially in the Philippines and Solomon Islands, going back and forth. What would you say you've gained or learned through these experiences?
I think working with other cultures for me is always a totally new experience, because it makes you get back in contact with your instinctive self. Like every day when you do the same thing all the time, you lose that instinctive self. So when you go and teach in other countries, suddenly it's a whole new culture. You have to learn how to respect them. And I think also it made me realise exactly how much knowledge I did have. I always think I don't know anything. And then when I go other places, I think, oh, God, did I know all that? Where did that come from? I like to travel as well. So the Solomon Islands was a remote island where I was the first white woman who had been there, and they flew me in this little one-seater plane, and then they paddled me in this canoe, and then basically when the kids saw me, everybody started yelling and screaming, and the dogs started barking and all that, and I thought I must have had bad energy, but it wasn't. It was just because they had never seen they'd seen white men, but they hadn't seen a white woman before. And there was no money on that island. It was the most peaceful, beautiful place, and everybody on the island learned how to speak English in 6 weeks because there was no distractions.
Wow, God, that's incredible.
And everybody could sing. So they had great ears anyway. So it was a really nice experience, and they'd come in and say to me, you eat what? And I'd say veggies, and they'd go and dig them out of the ground. If I said fish, they'd go and get the fish. If I wanted, oysters, they'd get the oysters. I could have stopped there.
Yeah, you've had some very interesting experiences in your life. I think at one point you were living in Sydney's King's Cross, working as an actress. What did you come across any major challenges trying to make a path through the industry as a young female actress?
No, not really. I think the main challenge for me was actually becoming the teacher more so than the acting part, because by the time I got to that, I had quite a lot of life experience. So the teaching was book knowledge, and I was someone who had a limited concentration. I'd be here 1 minute and there the next and all that. So I had to sort of drag myself in and learn to concentrate on book knowledge, basically. I had more life experience knowledge. The only way I could earn big money was to work. I worked in a nightclub called the All Nations Club in King's Cross, and I'd go to work at 11 o'clock at night and finish at 6 o'clock in the morning. But that way I could earn, waitressing. I was waitressing, actually. I could earn big money. Plus it was an area where it was a musicians' club, so therefore I got entertained at the same time I was working. So I had some sort of fulfillment of having some sort of social life as well as working at the same time and earning money. Like in those days, I was earning $18 an hour, which was really...
God, that's incredible.
You know, quite big money. I'm talking about, this was in the early 70s. So that was quite good money. But there was a lot of other stuff you had to put up with. But I used to just put the blinkers on. I didn't want to know what anybody did. I had a mission. I was on a mission, and I used to just go and do it.
So what was it that made you turn to teaching?
Oh, I always wanted to be a teacher.
Always, yeah.
I think I was instructing people from when I was a kid. You know, I'm one of those people. I'm very logical and I'm very organised, and I've always been organised. So I think it was just within me. It wasn't. I never had any great desires to be an actor. I had great desires to be a teacher. But I had first the articulation problem to come over, then I had to get my concentration, and then in that era it was hard finding places for someone to actually train you in techniques that weren't within universities. And I was lucky. Joan Winchester was the woman who actually trained me to be a teacher, not in the speech and drama, but in the acting technique for film and television. She had a huge influence on my life. She basically turned my life right around, because she made me believe that any disability that had been there wasn't there anymore, so it was time for me to go for it. And I actually love teaching. I've been teaching for 33 years now, and I enjoy it. I love the interaction with the young people. I like seeing them come in as one person and leave as another, and that's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with their commitment to themselves and their growth that they have over that period of time that they're actually training.
Because you have facilitated a lot of careers and a lot of creative endeavours in film and television.
Yes.
It's amazing, actually. Which techniques do you specialise in at the Actors Workshop?
Well, we use a combination, really. We use some Adler, some Yevgeny Lanskoy, and some of what I was trained in AMEB speech and drama, and some of Rowena Ballas's work in voice. So what I did was, I did a lot of training with a lot of different people, and then I found that a lot of stuff could be fill. It was like, well, I have to know what is the purpose of this exercise and what is the outcome of the exercise. So for me, it was more of going, that exercise really isn't relevant to anything. It's great if you're getting up and doing an improvisation exercise, but how is it pushing the learning forward? So from that, I actually ended up putting the whole curriculum together myself, which took me quite a long time to do. And then in 1994, I started the Actors Workshop here in Brisbane. I actually was born here in Brisbane, although I grew up in central Queensland. And I started with 26 students, and today I still only have 26 students. Actually, I think we are the smallest acting school in Australia, because it's not about the money. If it was, I wouldn't have the Actors Workshop. I'd be working somewhere else. It's more about my passion for the creative industries and the arts, and for people to be able to be given an opportunity where you haven't got 60 people in a classroom and you're fighting to get up there. Because when I was in acting school, I had 38 people in my class. So you had to fight to get up there to ever get any feedback. Which I was, when everybody went out on the lunch break or nighttime break, I would be up, I'd set the stage up, and I'd be ready to work when they come in, because I kept thinking, I'm working really hard to earn this money and I want my value.
When you began in Brisbane, the Actors Workshop was the only registered acting training organisation around this area. Was that partly why you chose to be here, as you say, to expand opportunities for people in an area where there weren't really that many opportunities?
Not really. The reason why I came to Brisbane was that some of my family were here. My son had moved up here, and I just suddenly thought, well, what am I doing? I was living at Bondi Beach, and it was great and all that, but I was paying like $380 a week in rent, and I just thought, it's time to move on. I needed a change. So I went and lived in Hutton